Our topic today is African unity and African collaboration, especially when it comes to do with African immigrants in the diaspora. With me to discuss this, I have two guests. The first is joining us from right here in the Metro Atlanta area. Nghwambeua TCHOUTEZO. His Excellency, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, just like you said, yeah, this is Nghwambeua Tedonzong TCHOUTEZO, African Association President. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's the president of the African Association of Georgia. Joining us by phone from Washington, D.C. is Dr. Kofi Agyapong. Dr. Agyapong, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Thank you. And I will go briefly and read your profile because it's so interesting that I want to read all of it. Let me start with Nghwambeua Tedonzong TCHOUTEZO. And the Nghwambeua is a title, meaning His Excellency Tedonzong TCHOUTEZO, and we'll tell you why. He was born in the South or in the Central African country of Cameroon, where he lived all of his youth life. His parents were both descendants of a royal family of the Patso Kingdom and educators as well. His parents went to Europe in the late 1960s, where his father pursued further studies and where his awareness of African solidarity, unity, culture preservation, and struggle for African liberation was heightened. These values he passed to his children. Tedonzong was a leader through his youth years and as a student leader in the University of Yaoundé, Cameroon, advocated for the decolonization of the educational curriculum, academic reforms, and for democratic reforms. This was enough trouble for the dictatorial regime that landed him in exile in the West African country of Burkina Faso. And there he began his initial encounter with sisters and brothers from different tribes and countries of Liberia who had fled the war. Thus, also began his love story for the great country of Liberia. He immigrated to the United States in 1987, and the following year he joined the African Association of Georgia, which is an association created to unite and empower the people of Africa in the state of Georgia. Right now, he's married. In August 2018, while in his ancestral land, the kings of his tribe, the Nghwambeua, and he will pronounce that for me later, raised him to the high status of a nobility with the title de Nghwambeua and commissioned him as the cultural ambassador to the American continent. He earned his living as a consultant in African culture and African linguistics. He's married to a beautiful queen, Nghwambeua, with two wonderful children, Ramses and Lunsey, who both studied in college in the state of Georgia. His Excellency TCHOUTEZO, welcome again to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much.
All right. And I will ask you to, I know I did not pronounce all the names correctly, and we'll come back to that so that you can enlighten us on what took place right there. Next is Dr. Kofi Agyapong. And I want to make it clear, it's not the Agyapong, the CHE is Agyapong. So Dr. Kofi Agyapong, his first name means a male born on Friday. The traditional belief is that the day you were born also determines the day you will die. Allegedly, the gods in his town, through their priests, can foretell the day of one's death if you tell them your date of birth. By the way, Dr. Kofi is 80 years old. He's been doing this thing. His expertise is in law, finance, and nonprofit. the gods in this village also extend your life. His father died at the age of 110 years old. His mother extended her life to 115 years, and his grandfather died at the age of 125. That should tell us where Dr. Kofi Agyapong is going. He says he was born on August 29 in 1939 in the Adom Afantuo Kumasi region, as Ashanti in Ghana, West Africa. His parents were rich cocoa farmers. His father, Kofi Abura, died in 1963 at the age of 110, as we said before. And his mother, Ya Komana, died in 2003 at the age of 115. He has 6 siblings, 6 girls, and he's the only boy. All but 3 are living right now. The younger sister and some of his nephew and nieces are with him here in the United States. His early education, he said, I completed my elementary education in 1956. He attended the Ashanti. He came to completed law school at the Howard University. Go ahead.
Law school at
When
Howard
he
University and Temple University in Philadelphia, Howard University Law School in Washington, D.C.
Exactly. When he was studying at the University of at Temple University, he said he went to his history department to look for when he graduated from Temple University, his chancellor asked him to go and learn law so that he can study more about Africa, and we're going to go into that story. It's a beautiful story that we will go into it. He said, in 1962, I came to the United States of America to study accounting. He attended Temple University Business School from 64 to 68, where Kofi was a soccer star at the school. When he completed Temple University, his advisor told him to go and study law so that he can find out about his lost people. And while at law school at Howard University, he was able to establish a group that he has today called the Sons and Daughters of Africa. It's in that school he also discovered, about the effect of slavery, and he was able to relate that to his grandfather, who felt and saw slavery firsthand. And we'll go into a story as the night goes on. Once again, Dr. Agyapong, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much.
All right. Dr. Agyapong, you are the head of Africa. Let's begin from there. How did it all get started?
Can you repeat the question again?
Let's talk about your organization, SADA, the Sons and Daughters of Africa. How it got started and why?
Well, it's a very brief statement on that. When I came here the first time, I landed in New York. I came by a ship, and in the ship, it took 6 weeks. It's a fast boat, a Norwegian boat, and in the middle of Atlantic, there were sharks banging the door, banging the ship, pan, 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 pan. So a bell was rang, and they told everybody to go into the cabin. So I went to my cabin, and after we passed the area, I went to the captain and I asked him, "What's the matter? What's going on with this big fish?" I'm from the forest. I don't know anything about fish. I deal with the lions and the tigers and so on and so forth. I ran in the bush. If you come to see me when I was a child, I was naked, running in the bush with a catapult. I'll shoot you and I'll kill you. Here am I with this big fish banging in the ship, banging ships. So the captain said, oh. It's a very simple answer. During the time of slave trade, the English stopped the slave trade and put a ship on the Atlantic. And any ship that they found carrying African, they would seize it. So when the ship see the boat coming, they would dump every human being in the sea. Every human being. And when the British come, they will see nobody in there, and they will leave them to go. Otherwise, they will be seized, and the operators of the ship will be seized and put in jail. You know, the British had the strongest maritime powers. So anyway, with that, I just came to New York. You stopped New York, and I told a friend that I want to go to school. Came to go to school. He said, "You can't go to school here. Go to Philadelphia." I said, "Where is Philly?" So I took a bus, and I came to Philly, and I went to YMCA, and I stayed there. But incidentally, when I was a little boy in my village at Rancho, and I was between the age of 5, 6, I followed my grandfather to the farm. And anytime you go to our farmland, my grandfather would be whipping. So when I grew up a little bit, we went there and I asked him, why is that anytime you come here, you whip? He said, 7 of my great uncles, I was a boy, came to this farmland with their wives and children, and they never came back.
Wow.
So anytime I come here, I weep. Grandfather died in 1954 at 125. He might have been born in 1820s. It's a very, very sad thing, I'm telling you. Can you imagine a person born at that time, which was the height of slave trade? And by the time maybe he was about 21, he was in about 1840s. This man wept from that time until the time I met him and until the time he died in 1954. All this, I have no idea what he was telling me. And the fish and everything, I didn't know. But when I landed in Philadelphia, everybody I saw was African. So I asked my friend, when did these Africans come here? He said, don't say they're Africans. They are Negroes. They're not Africans. I said, what? They look like me. What are you talking about? He said, shut up. At that time, I was very young, 19 when I landed in America. So eventually, I met some Ghanaians who took me to their home, and I stayed with them, and I started the school, nice school. And Temple University was grateful enough that I was doing well. They gave me a scholarship, and in no time, I had finished. But those Ghanaians are still there. They believe I couldn't go to school. They believe I can do it. They don't know what is behind me. Chigari is my God in my house. Dokosu is my house, is my God. I don't believe in all these Jesus things. I don't know it. There was none of it. There was no Catholic church or any church in my house. The people who came to my house, to my village first, were the Methodists. They brought school at Kongori, and all of us went to Kongori. And then the Catholic came to Kenche. We all went to Kenche to go to school. Then the Romans came to Franco, my village. Then we all went to school at my. We traveled to go. You walk.
So from Temple now you went to Howard, and that's where Sada started.
I'm talking that when at Temple, it was at Temple that I majored in accounting. And when I finished, Mr. Snyder, Temple is a Jewish school. Mr. Snyder asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I want to be a CPA. He said, oh, no, stop it. You're too smart for the CPA. Go to law school. Your people are lost. I said, lost? Me, Ashanti? How can we say Ashanti man is lost? Our king sit on the golden stool. The most powerful people in Black Africa. Who are you there to say we are lost? We are not lost. He said, go find out and let me know. So I took LACT test, and I passed all these Ivy League schools, and he told me, don't go there. They will make your brains white like mine. The Jewish claim that the Africans, and the Bible confirms it. They were in Africa for 400 years. So anyway, I went to Howard. I married a white woman at Philadelphia, and I brought her to Washington D.C. We married from 1966 to 1972. She was my wife. Very good woman, very good, intelligent person, and we encountered a lot when we came to Washington. This is a racist country, city. So, but anyway, in 2 years, I called my advisor. I said, I know what's wrong with this. We are lost following Europeans and Arabs. He said, you're smart. Yes, Africans are lost following Europeans and Arabs. And believe me, it hurts that a whole race of human beings with so much intelligence. I went to school like I was walking in water, easy. But there's nothing done. Nobody's doing anything. No organization, nothing. So I realized the man is right. So I gathered my friends there and you formed Sons and Daughters of Africa, Inc. Now listen, the reason Sons and Daughters of Africa is because the people I saw at the harbor in Philadelphia, they're Africans. So they are part of the Sons and Daughters of Africa. I dare you, challenge any African from the continent who has no knowledge of the history to say that the African Americans are Africans. They will show you. They don't believe it. Because you must go to school and read. You must learn. You must bend the light and read and find out what has happened to us. Read. If you know the history of the Black Africa, we used to rule this world. I went to China 2 years ago. There was a king who was black. I found out we conquered China. We have been all over this world. And now look at us. Yeah. Look at us.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're going to go more into it. Let me go to you, Mr. CHOUTEZO. Let's start with your organization, why it was established, and how you're doing.
I'm doing great. And the association is doing wonderful. Well, thanks for this opportunity to communicate with our people. It was very inspiring also listening to the brother, Dr. Kofi. And we're glad there are people like that who are around and who are going to tell us our story. Well, the African Association of Georgia has been there since 1990. It was created in 1990 when Mandela came out of prison. And the then mayor of Atlanta, Maynard Jackson, you know, he wanted to provide a welcome to Mandela, and had Africans come to he invited who is who in the African community to the city hall. Well, it so happened that the Africans realized that, we don't even have something that brings us all together, you know? And so that's how, from that time, the Association of African Association of Georgia got created. So that was since 1990. So for the last 29 years, we've been in action.
Thank you. Well, the purpose of this series, and we started this the last time, we spoke to someone from Liberia and other guests from Nigeria. We're trying to explore how, first of all, how we African immigrants in the diaspora starting with the United States of America, how can we work together? What can we collaborate on? From statistics, I learned we are the most educated immigrant population in the States. How can we work together to impact our communities here in the United States and also our respective countries back home? How can we work together? If country A is having a problem, how do we come together to solve that problem? So that's what we're going to be exploring tonight. And I'm very thankful that both of you have those kind of organizations where Africans are already doing something together. There is so one of those things, I don't know if any of you saw from the news about the situation going on in Nigeria. We also see sometimes, and I want you to confirm this, Mr. TCHOUTEZO, about the situation going on in Cameroon. Sometimes we see some horrible video pictures. So let's start with that. How can Africans here in the diaspora, how can we work together to make an impact here and back home? And let me start with you, Dr. Agyapong.
Well, believe me or not, I have encountered the most difficult thing in my life to get the African to consider himself as an African. They will not. We are so tribal and so fundamental a human being, group of people, that you got to be very intelligent to know that these people walking out there were one time ago built the pyramids and used to fly and can vanish. They get ancestors that have this thing. Right now, our behavior allowed some people to call it some names. You know? Going to school I thought was tough because I used to work from 11 to 7. I go to school from 8 to 3, and I come home to do my homework, cook, eat, and get up to go to work at 11 and continue all the time like that. I thought it was a difficult way. But just talking to an African to say that he's an African is the biggest problem. But
wow,
I am dedicated to sons and daughters of Africa because I have realized that our past was golden. What has happened to us that we are in this miserable condition? We can't even know anything about our past. It's these Europeans who came to my village and teach me ABC and Abed and so on and so forth for me to learn something. How? I discovered that Africans brought the art of writing. In fact, if you go to Ghana and most African countries, you see signs. For example, Kente Cross. All the designs in the coat of Kente Cross are reading. You must be taught how to read them. I didn't know. I know it's a Kente Cross or it's a Jinkra Cross. But the things inside, we have been so depressed that we have forgotten everything that our ancestors carried. Except they are in our genetic code and we carry them. That's why we are able to go to school so easily. We are not stupid as people think, because how can we come to America here and be able to go to school? Anything we want to study, we do it. If we are that dumb. We're not. So, my aim is this. If nobody joins me as an sons and daughters, I will continue until I drop dead. But luckily, right now, as I'm telling you, we have chapters in Liberia. 3 chapters. 4 chapters in Ghana. 2 in Sierra Leone. 1 in Nigeria. 1 in Uganda. 1 in Uganda. 1 in Burundi. 1 in Rwanda. Now, why? In the 60s and 70s, when I was a young man, I was able to travel to these African countries. But in the 70s, in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a military distortions in Africa. It put fear in us. So all the chapters died. Beginning 2000, I started all over again. So I have all these chapters. there. And their aim is that we are learning to be Africans. So we don't mistreat and maltreat like what happened in South Africa. We take each one and we know our pride and we live as a people. Gradually, we are building some intelligence into us and we are reviving our history. Now, let me tell you this. Believe me or not, if nothing is done, we will remain the way we are forever. Because we are human beings. We only know what we are taught. If you don't teach me that you are Igbo, I don't know. If you say you are Igbo, Tedo, so then, gradually I'm beginning to learn. So, human beings, we can learn, but we must come together to do it. One time I came to Atlanta, and I think I met the president of the Georgia Association of Africa. I called the man several times, he never called me back. I've gone to several states by myself with my money. Right now I'm old, I can't work anymore. But I'm doing my best to keep going. What we need to do is this. Since we are the most depressed human being on earth, with the most intelligent in earth, that is exhibited in schools and sciences and running and boxing and all that thing, we need to come together.
Yeah.
But we need to identify ourselves vigorously, not tribally. Like here in Washington, D.C., where I live, we got Ashanti group. We have Ashanti Kotoko group. There are about 16 different tribal groups. If you ask them to come to Sons and Daughters of Africa, they will not come. I got to figure out, how do I get my people to understand the price we are in? This is not ours. This is artificial. The problem we are facing is artificial. It will be gone in no time. But we have to work on it and work on it. And you newsmen have to take voice and putting out now to these children. And I am 80. Anybody who is below 80 is a child to me. And you got to listen. I don't care what you think.
I'm listening right now. Let's bring in Mr. TCHOUTEZO and see what his ideas are. But I'm curious about what's going on in Cameroon. Those horrible pictures we see about French speaking versus English speaking, Christian, Muslim, are they real?
Well, it's great. A lot will have this opportunity to learn a little more about what is happening on the ground in Cameroon. And this is not only Cameroon, it's almost everywhere in Africa. But my premise to this would be that I would like everybody, every African, to look at themselves, first of all, as Africans, at least as long as we continue to call ourselves Africans before we get a term, the right name for our continent. So to look at ourselves, first of all, as Africans, and realize that the colonial process, the enslavement process that we've gone through has deprogrammed our minds from what we were, what everything meant to us. That the most important thing we really need to do now is to start decolonizing the mind, is to do a good work on reprogramming our minds because we're off track. So, given that prelude, I'll explain a little more as I answer your question. Yes, there's a lot going on in that part of Africa, called which the Europeans named Cameroon. There's a lot going on. To the east of the country, there's been some trouble with Central Africa, and what went through the coup d'etats and everything, the instability, and of course there's a refugee problem and what it brings. To the northwest of the country, there's been at the northern borders with the problem with Boko Haram, which is no problem to expose today. I think it is very well known all over Africa, where we've had a lot of incursions of the sectarian group coming to hit targets in Cameroon and all of that. There's been instability. And now to the part of Cameroon which you are referring to, which is the southern Cameroons. And this is the southwestern region of Cameroon, which is closer to Nigeria. Yes, there have been a lot of atrocities going on, and it's a war that is very little spoken about that is going on there. A lot of people are losing their lives. There's a situation about civil life, going to school, and all of that. And like you put it, talk about the English speaking or the Anglophones against the Francophones.
Yeah, I know.
In actual fact, it is not really what it is. There is no time when you come across two Cameroonians fighting because one is an Anglophone and the other is a Francophone. In fact, if you live in Georgia, we all live together. We all do carry out our activities together. We all party together. We all weep together. We mourn together, But it is also true that some have been manipulated. And the situation in Cameroon is one of a lack of respect of historical accords, the accords that were violated. So it is more the people against the government, the people against the ruling political class. It is not the people against the people. That is not what it is, and that is the impression that is given. So what the people of the English-speaking part of Cameroon, which they call Anglophones, are asking for is nothing but justice and the respect of the terms of unity. So these are all artificial problems created by imperialism on Africa. And those that do not understand the history of Africa, that do not understand what is going on, are promoting this agenda of imperialism by escalating the situation and making it look like what it is not. So if everybody should understand we're Africans, all the countries, in fact, almost every country in Africa that we have today, as it is today, came to being only after the 1884 to 85 Berlin Conference, where Europeans basically created these countries. So we are having a lot of artificial programs. So the main thing we need to do is to deprogram our minds from colonial domination and to reprogram our minds as Africans again. That said, as a premise to that question, that said, as we can then understand what is going on. In order for us to be conquered and for our resources, for the oppressor to continue to enjoy our resources, there has to be something that has to be put in order to divide us, to make us be against one another, so it will make it easier for them to continue to get our resources. And that is something we need to understand.
Mr. TCHOUTEZO, some will argue that this has been so long. I mean, how long are we going to continue to blame the white men or the Europeans or the Westerners for the problem that we go through today?
Good question. However, if blame needs to be placed somewhere, you don't have to shift away from it simply because you think it is too long, because I would ask you, how long is too long? The world has been there for millions of years. Africans have been there. Every other race comes out of Africa and out of Africans. And Africans are the oldest. We've been there for hundreds of thousands of years. And the colonial problems date probably from the time of the Berlin Conference is probably only about 135 years. So I don't know how long that is compared to the history of mankind and the history of the world. However, I would also agree with you in that, what happens to a man is equal to a man. And we should take responsibility. We should take action at our level. Is it going to happen overnight? No, but we have to take action. We have to be conscious and take action on that. Yes, it falls on us. There's nothing good that comes easy. And we have to do something about it.
Thank you.
On that note, I do agree with you on that particular point. But again, if someone is responsible for something, they have to accept their responsibility.
If you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing African unity and collaboration. My guests, Mr. Tedonzong TCHOUTEZO and Dr. Kofi of Cameroon and Dr. Kofi Agyapong of Ghana. Dr. Agyapong, let me go to you. What is, with all the problem that you stated, what is SADC doing about it? You know, what is the sons and daughters of Africa doing to mitigate those issues that you spoke about earlier and that can help bring us together so that we can unite and collaborate?
Thank you very much for this question. First of all, as the brother said, we are capable of solving this issue. But before anything at all can be solved by humanity, it begins with one person, then people join, and then they start to see how they can go about it. Now, I have lived here in America since 1962. I was very young, but I was very aggressive. And I like people. I see the more people I get to know, the better my life is. You wouldn't believe how many of my friends are dead who were not interested in other people. And I'm still picking. Just today, my wife and I, my wife is Carolyn Kennedy, just went to spend the whole night in New York. What were we there? Well, the city of New York, the City College of New York, one of the professors, Jeffrey, invited us to come and discuss how do we go about getting the descendants of Black Africa move forward. Now, the discussion that took place there is for all of us. So only a few of us were there. That makes the thing very difficult, and it's on you, Mr. Broadcaster, to carry this voice out. Now, we find out that we are not communicating enough. And that's one main reason, that we need to get together as descendants of Black Africa enslaved by Europeans and Arabs. There's no qualms about that. You can't deny history is recorded. And we are still being dragged by them to wherever they want. Now, with the beginning of Sons and Daughters of Africa, others have started. Other organizations, like the brother in Atlanta, where they have these Georgia Africans. I need to get in touch with them. Because before you go to be 80, you might have seen something. So that our children can understand that they are in a hot land. As sweet as America is, you got to be careful. So, I have already told you that we have chapters of SADA in African countries, and we are communicating. Our problem is that these young men in Africa who want to do something, they need to be sponsored by people with money. I can't do it by myself. So I tell them to hold on, and they can't hold. Somebody said the center cannot hold. It gives up. But I will not give up. I keep on growing gradually. I know everything is done with money, but money comes when people have understanding. When our people have understanding, they will dump money on Sons and Daughters of Africa, not on me, but on those in Africa, because it doesn't take that much money to live in Africa. You know that. And to be able to do things in Africa. Now with all these 14 chapters that I have, and I want more, I want every African, first of all, who is listening to me, to go get to his high school. And about 20 years ago, I formed a chapter in my high school in Ghana. It's called Asanteman Secondary School. Most people don't care a dime about it. But it is my responsibility to pass on what I've seen to them. So I gradually we are going. I want you, to form a chapter of SADA in your secondary school and in your community. Be active among Africans. Here, we should get together. Eventually, the word is beginning to spread. But I tell you this, people who started with me when I formed SADA in 1970, when I was in law school, all of them are dead. Believe me, it is not that they want to die, but when you retire and you have nothing to do, the next thing is death will grab you and take you. At the time when you can do more for your people, you retire sitting home and trying to make money. So it is your responsibility, and the brother in Atlanta, is that where you are? That now that I'm beginning to know they have organizations, and we have organizations here in Washington D.C. Metropolitan area, which is Virginia, Maryland, and DC. I cannot do it by myself, but I'm going to make sure that I get some people that can reach. Nigerians, Sierra Leoneans, here they got their organized groups, but they are not together. We are not together, and we are not passing anything on. And I have institutionalized this thing here. This is a 501c3 organization. We have tax exempt. Eventually, the name will come to people. As long as we do good, God will bless us. So, if you are asking me, how are we going to spread the thing? How are we going to get the message across? It is this thing you are doing. The African Americans are more aware because they are outside Africa. And they look back to Africa and they see how our people are lamenting. But there's nothing they can do. But now we are here. We from the continent. I am an Ashanti. You are this, you are that. We are here. We ought to get to our brothers like we did last night in New York. I haven't slept since Saturday, I think 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I woke up to go to New York. You got to be hard working and alert that we have a problem and we need to solve it, and only the living, matured adult can solve the problem. No kidding, no children. We pass the information on to our children for them to understand that, yes, we are doing something. Yes, once in a while we meet and glorify our people and our women. We make them dress nicely and we show to the public. We even get parade to parade our people that we are rich. We are consciously rich group of people in Africa. Our festivities, there are nowhere in the world can you see as festivities as nice as Africans. I saw the Igbos doing something in Anambra State. I was shocked. Believe me. Well disciplined. This is true in Ashanti. This is true in every African country, in every African tribe. The problem is that the Europeans came and imposed what is called government on our people without using the basis of it. And they neglected our people. So now the present government don't know how to handle our chiefs and the elders, and they are like left aside. They ought to be able to come in because they govern the people. And the amazing thing is we ought to work using the government and using the people to move forward. If we don't do that, we are wasting our time. So, with all these chapters you have, and now I'm getting to know you, and you see the way I'm talking, I'm so serious. You won't believe this.
Yeah, I can tell.
I'm very serious.
Yeah.
So, you must help us. And the brother that I'm talking to, I'm going to go to your number, get your number, and we're going to talk, and we're going to mobilize our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. TCHOUTEZO, you have in Georgia, where I live, African Association, of which I'm not aware. What has been going on? Who are your members, and what are the goals and objectives, and what have you been up to as a AAGA member or president?
Yes, first of all, I would like to. I'm glad to listen to the brother Dr. Kofi, and I just before I get to that, I wanted to say I definitely agree with him that we need, more communication amongst ourselves. Well, the African Association of Georgia. Again, it was created in 1990 by Africans in Georgia, and the goals were to empower the African people that live in Georgia. And at the time also, there was the need for people to break down the stereotypes of what people, the greater population in Georgia, thinks about people that come from Africa, and vice versa, those from Africa, what they think about the people who are here in Georgia. And so those stereotypes that unfortunately are still there even till today, it was something we had to do something in order to let people understand the realities. So there is also the fact that we need to empower our population economically, socially, be of help to one another. We also have educational programs, cross-cultural training programs, and we've also organized events like Taste of Africa, to get people to get the Africans integrate more into the community and to get others to understand our culture. So those are some of the things that we have been focusing on. And today the organization is pretty much more like a support structure for various national organizations, because different African countries have their own organizations, So we come in as a support structure. It functions with a board of 15. And we have board members from all 6 regions of Africa. That means the diaspora, North, Central, West, South, and Eastern Africa. So that's a little bit of what we've been doing. And we also believe that the more we get to meet, the more events we have in our community, and that we attend events in each other's community, it will help us understand one another even more, and therefore see more of the similarities rather than the differences that exist amongst us. So that is how, one of the ways we use to build unity. So we promote events amongst, events happening in the community, in various sub-communities of Africa. And our definition of an African is everybody of African descent who realizes that they are African. So we try to have activities going on in each of the communities and encourage each other to be a part of them. It is also true that regardless of how much contact we've tried to make in different communities, not everybody is aware of the association. And so thanks to media like yours, many more people will get to know about the existence and also get to connect with it.
Good. No, that's very important. I hope. So right now you are only in Georgia. There's no other African association anywhere else.
Well, there are African associations almost everywhere in several other states. However, there has been an attempt to have a Federation of African Associations in the United States, but this has not materialized yet. And the African Association of Georgia is basically preoccupied with the African community in Georgia.
Thank you. And if you just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. I'm discussing with Dr. Kofi Agyapong, who's joining us from Washington, D.C. via phone, and the Nghwambeua Tedonzong TCHOUTEZO, who is right here joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. And if you want to be part of the discussion, the number is posted for you to call 1-712-770-8002 with the code 229545. Join and be part of the discussion. Oh, Dr. Agyapong, you've been here and you've seen a lot. In my previous show with other Africans, the idea of Africans forming an organization covering the 50 states in the United States was stressed. And I'm glad that Mr. TCHOUTEZO is here, who already is heading one of those African associations that we can work on bringing them together. But you've been here longer. What has the problem been to get all Africans countries under one organization to work? And how can we also work to bring in our brothers and sisters who are African Americans? Because when you come here, there seems to be a rift between Africans just coming and the Africans who came or who forefathers came long ago, meaning the Africans American. What has been the problem and how can we bridge that gap?
Well, first of all, our interaction is very tense. When I came in '62, there was an organization that I met at the Temple University campus. It was called, forgotten the term, it's been taught some time, but there was a national organization. It was called African, if it comes back, comes to me, I will let you know. But there was one. And when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, That's where the whole thing started. As if you drop a mud in the water, it all went off. But, you know, in the years past, my contemporaries who are 80, 85 to about 70 to about 65, these 65 to 85 contemporaries had in mind of going back. So we really never thought of organizing to live. I myself, I went to Ghana from 77 to 87, and I came back. And since I came back, I met some of my classmates at Howard. The problem is that the military attack on the civilians in Black Africa was very deterrent. It really prevented us from using our acquired knowledge. You would not have chance to do anything. The military thought they knew everything, but they have their own function in our in our society. The military has a function. They should not be coming into civilian and trying to do anything. So those who finished school and went back home, some of them had difficulty surviving. And most of them returned back. Now, with this experience back on the continent, like I went and I became a chief accountant for the state transport. And I later on resigned for my own company. I look into society. You can do things, but there are bottlenecks. Everywhere you turn, there's a bottleneck there. But you expect that in every society.
Yeah.
So, with us now, you know, at that time, there were no communication and radios and TVs as prominently espoused by Africans as now. You get people with cell phones that can reach anywhere in the world. So now, forming an African organization is much more clear. We need to have men and women to understand that we are here to stay. All right? We are here to stay, and we have children to bring up, and we have people to know. We have to know the white people and the black people, the African descendants who came 400 years ago to this year. We need to get to know them and to gradually to take them back to Africa. If you read the book of Ezra in the Bible, you see how Nebuchadnezzar took the Africans at that time to Babylon and how they went back. And if you read it carefully and you have a mind of our people and our gods, you know, you begin to realize that they were organized in groups. Now we have them in churches. But the churches only preach salvation of the soul. It's more than the salvation of the soul. You know, the church should be more than that. It should also take into consideration the life of the people who are on earth. That is not taken seriously in the churches. But we are organized in the churches. And it's the only medium, it's the only way we can reach our people organized. Most of the ministers have no idea that they are even Africans or what to do to help our people. They will not even do it. There are some who will do it. It's our responsibility with open mind to reach out to both black and white and advocate our cause, present our issue, get the radios to take our cause. You can go through Federal Communication Commission regulations and get on the national radios, but you must be organized so that we can talk and make sense of ourselves. And we have a problem and only we can solve it. Otherwise, we pass the problem on to our children. And that's not fair, because as adults, we're supposed to be doing something for these children, and we're not doing it. Not doing it at all. Sometimes I regret that even come in the country here, because you learn something, you can't pass it on, and nobody pays you attention. You know, it is not easy to go through the educational system. This radio station you have, it's not easy to organize it. Now you have to get it organized. We have to reach out to you. I have to come to you. And then you take the words that I'm using and present it to the community and see what result we can have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. TCHOUTEZO, how can we, oh, you want to add something to that? Okay, my question to you is, how can we Africans here in the United States form a voting bloc so that people come to us for our votes, so that we can have a little more impact, so that they can recognize who we are and give us the respect that we do?
That is a very good question, and one of the things we've been talking about of recent, because we are the only people in the United States that vote for free, because the vote is a contract. You know, I vote for you, and you know, and you also take care of my needs. But we give out our votes for nothing in return, and so that is something that has to change. We have the numbers, and you just mentioned it also, probably the most intellectual of immigrant population in the United States. So what we basically doing now is, like I mentioned, trying to have more communication amongst ourselves, getting together to talk about this and come together, organize ourselves. If I would just say one word to answer that, it would be to organize. Yeah, we need to organize more, and we are definitely in the process of doing that. We have a lot of African sisters and brothers who are also in the political field. You know, they are running for office, and you know, I think there is much more consciousness, and we have to create more awareness of the reason why we should vote, and a reason why we should form a voting bloc. So that is something that we are actually working on. Again, it's much more about communication. And right now we have a few platforms of communication. In Georgia, we have a WhatsApp forum called the Africa Info Hub, and we hope that every person interested in contributing to what we want to see of the Africans here should plug into that forum. So again, discussions are going on that.
Thank you. I have a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you're calling from? Hello, caller. All right, let me go to you, Dr. Kofi. I have your group page display here, SADA. How can one become a member, or how can we have branches all over? If for my viewers listening to you now, they want to become member, or they want to form a chapter in their own state, how do they go about doing that?
Website, and I'm going to give you the website, or repeat the website so that people can write it, or you can write it for them to see. It's www.sada54.org.
I'm showing that right now on the screen.
And they can call 240-4 417-0299 and talk to me. We have people who come here to work, volunteer to work, and people who can volunteer. We want the retirees. There are a lot of African retirees in town, but they are not interested. One Cameroonian woman gave me an address to call and made a contact with a brother she considered very active. But since I call him, no response. I call him again, or I'll call you back. And you know, that's not fair. Now, we have these two things. If you can call the number or go to the website, sada54.org. 54. Now we know African, there are 55 countries in Africa now with the
South Sudan.
Yes, coming in, we are 55, but we're 54 for a long time. We're going to change it and make 55. Now, also the wisdom of our leaders in Africa has created a sixth region for the Africans who left 400 years ago and came here. You know, there are 5 regions in Africa. So now we have 6 regions. Now, which human being that his people will be taken uprooted, like my grandfather's uncles were uprooted, and I come here and I see them and I will not be concerned. It is inhuman. Human beings always think of where they came from, people who came from there, and how to go about making life better for all humanity. So it is our responsibility to present this website to people. When they go to the website, you cannot register there. You have to call the number that I've given you, telephone number. But you can form a chapter. There's a way to form a chapter in your school, in your church, in your community, with whatever group that you are associated with. Most Africans have no idea that life is nothing but dealing with human beings. If you can say, I want to be part of these people, you better not even be alive. You know, because the more we are, the merrier things are. Human beings are capable of doing all kinds of things, but we must be organized to do it. And that's why the U.S., I'm interested in the U.S. so much, because it's a country of law. If you are president and you breach the law, they will discipline you. It's a country of law. Unfortunately, ours has been very chaotic, but if you know what Africa is, our gods discipline us. You cannot go to any African society and be a buffoonery and make fun of people and do things and get by. Your life will be miserable. We are very spiritual people in Africa. We are not Christians. We are not Muslims. These are all imposition from Europeans and Arabs. And one day it's going to die because our nature of life compels us to be spiritual. It compels us. Although we are law-abiding, we are not all that much as Europeans are. And the Europeans preach spirituality and they don't follow it, but they don't see anything in it. We do see something more important. So if you combine the law and the spirituality and everybody, life will be much, much meaningful. But you can't say, I am Allah, I worship Allah, and then you do something. You can't say, I follow Christ and do something else with little children, abuse women, and so on and so forth. It's nonsense. You can't abuse a woman in Africa. You know that, because you take water and pour a libation, you are gone. So we have to be more stricter and understand our way of life and learn it. The more we interact, the better we be exposed to. But if we sit quietly, don't do anything, everything we know will die. Everything.
Thank you.
Because if you don't teach a human being what you know, will die with you when you die.
Yeah.
You can't take it with you. Simple as that.
Thank you.
So with this thing here, and we are going to build more websites so that people will get to know more of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me bring in our caller now. We're almost nearing our closing. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Oh, caller, hold on. I need to take this. Go ahead, caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hi.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello. Hi. Very interesting topics. I do appreciate your guests tonight. When it comes to the subject of Africa and the poverty and the freedom we search, many have believed that our freedom is tied directly to our ability to feed ourselves. So our consumption has to be designed in a way that we will be able to meet our own consumption and not have to live in debt or have to borrow to live. So I'd like to hear your guest's opinion about can we address the way our consumption is to alleviate our poverty or to change the trajectory of our prosperity.
Thank you. Let me go to you, Mr. TCHOUTEZO. The one who controls your belly controls you.
That's right. Yes, I like that question, and thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I do agree that you cannot be free when you are hungry. But maybe the way I look at it, it would be a little different in that there are different things that we can do. The Africans should not be hungry. We should not be hungry. This is where we have, Africa is where we have the greatest amount of resources anywhere in the world, both natural, the subsoil, the topsoil, the human resources and everything. There is none everywhere than anywhere else than we have in Africa. Africa is not poor, Africa is impoverished. And if Africa is impoverished, how do we get out of this? Sometimes you may have to, if you know what you're looking for, you may have to sometimes step back, hold on a little bit, fast a little bit, and do what it takes, to be able to fish, instead of extending a hand to accept fish to eat. So that is one thing. I also talked about the mind. If the mindset is not right, if the mindset is not programmed for success, I don't care how much you are given, you are going to end up, using it up and be again in the same situation. Also, the other thing we are doing in the community, in the African community here, is promoting African businesses. I mentioned a WhatsApp group, and other groups that we have for communication. We try to promote African businesses. We try to promote, African initiatives. Bring us to the limelight. It is a shame that we don't have any major business in the United States. And are we just going to sit and continue to complain? We have to do something, and there is nothing, it is not as if we have to reinvent the wheel. The mechanisms are all there. All we need to do is to understand a few things, understand some success principles, understand the force of working together. So, in order to come out of this situation of poverty, hunger, and extending a hand, yes, we have to work together. We have to promote each other, promote each other's business, share information in terms of opportunities that exist, so that we can take our community to the next level. Understand that individually, we may have to sacrifice sometimes in order to bring others up. Because if you have everything and your neighbor has nothing, then you have nothing, because you would have to share. So let us get together, and that is what we are doing more and more. Get together, share ideas, work together, and move together as a people. Then we would never have to beg. That goes also in terms of, that goes also for our countries as well. We understand that they always talk about poor African countries being poor. And, you know, we are head of states who would come out and they are asking for money, you know, from other countries, which most of the times ends up in their pockets rather than in the development of the country. And those same countries from whom they are asking this aid are getting their money from their countries. How about we work on being able to utilize our resources, produce what we eat and eat what we produce. Take control of our economies. We produce gold, we produce diamond and all of that, but those are they're not even traded in Africa. You know? So we produce the dinner and we are not even sitting at the dinner table. We are rather sitting on the menu. So there's a lot that has to change. And yes, there is no freedom. There's no real freedom without economic freedom. And we have the potentials. We have the intelligence in order to have this economic freedom. And we have to start doing something about it. And that starts with you and I today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, it starts with you and me, and the day is today, not tomorrow, because the time is so far spent. We have to do it now. Dr. Kofi, you have anything to add on that note, or we can, and you can wrap that up with
yes,
final thoughts?
I will add a few things to the brother's serious statement he has made.
Yeah.
You know, human beings are animals. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And you can be trained. And Russian experimenter Pavlov, you know, who experiment that actually some animals can do better than we. But we have been captured and captive consumers. You go to Africa, if you are aware as I am, and I spent 10 years in West Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Upper Volta, Burkina Faso, Togo. You see that there was no manufacturing, nothing there. Everything is imported from France, from America, from China, from Europe. We just eat what they are. We are Europeans in Africa. Good God, even our religion is replaced. Hey, where is our fufu and soup and banku? Where's the food that we eat? You know, I came here to find out that all these fried foods are dangerous. Really dangerous. Until I came here, fried food. My grandfather I came to meet will not allow anybody to fry the food I eat. I never knew why. He never asked me why until I came here. That when you fry food, chemical set in, and it releases all kinds of things coming to you. When you eat it into your stomach, it really becomes poison in you. Things like bread and so on and so forth are dangerous. But you were trained to eat them, and they were imported from Britain and all these things. Look, the Africans eat the best of food. Vegetables, ham nut, peanut. These are very important, and these are the real businesses that will make us grow and mature as intelligent men and women. Do you know that Nigeria spends so much money importing oil? I mean, cooking oil. Ghana said this. The whole African countries import them. And these oils are dangerous foods. Look, we have to reverse ourselves. Because we who are here, we can get all the vegetables in the stores. Be careful what you put in your mouth, what you use your money for, what you spend. So, when you talk of us being captured and captive consumers, that we produce nothing, but we consume everything done by everybody in the world. That's why you lose our business. You go to West Africa, you go to Nigeria, there are thousands of graduates. Ghana, thousands of graduates can't get jobs. We import. Huh? And people are using all kinds of tricks, chicaneries, to get money to survive. This is not right. And the diseases that were not in Black Africa, like diabetes, hypertension, and all kinds of diseases are crept into our communities. All because we do not follow the way our ancestors lived. And we are following wrong examples. People who came in there frying their food to eat. So, when you talk of how do you go about preserving and creating businesses, I think the times ahead of us is very important because these young people are beginning to know the right thing, you know? So with this, I am saying that we ought to be able to understand what we eat, what we clothe, and whatever it is that we do. These are what creates the business. And the brother has summarized it very well. I'm just adding this thing here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enablement.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Agyapong, and His Excellency TCHOUTEZO for your time tonight. It's been a very fruitful and rewarding conversation that we've had. I hope this is the beginning of African nations here collaborating, uniting to tackle the major problems that face us and also the continent. I want to thank my viewers tonight. But before I let you go, I just want to hear your final thoughts. And I'll start with you, Dr. Agyapong.
Well, thank you very much for asking my thoughts. I think Africans are moving forward. First of all, the AU has recognized that we get people outside the continent. That's the first step in identifying who we are and gradually getting to understand the condition in which these Arabs and Europeans have created for us to live in, which people like me are beginning to say, hey, look, what it is all wrong, and we are not going to follow you. We're going to do and reverse back to where you were, because it seems more logical that we eat raw food, grown food on trees, and food from the ground than chemically produced foods. It's much more logical. So, if you want my thoughts, Africa is moving so fast now. Sometimes I wonder, even though I formed SADA and there are very few members, but I know that the time is coming where most Africans will join and participate in community affairs, in programs, and be concerned of each other. That is life. Anything else is not life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. CHOUTEZO, your final thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to greet all the great African people out there, and remind those, especially those living in Georgia, that we do have an African association that has been in existence for the last 29 years, and we want you to participate. And an African, by our definition, is anyone who is of African descent and recognizes that they are African. And so it is not restrictive to those who were born on the motherland. We do have members. Papua New Guinea, those they consider themselves Africans. So both the Pacific, the Atlantic, and all of that, the diaspora. So secondly, we also would like you to plug in to the various African organizations. And, we want to honor the thoughts of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, who advised that we should organize. In fact, he said it repeatedly: organize, organize, organize. Plug into an organization, plug into your village organization, plug into your tribal organization, plug into your national organization, plug into the continental organization. Make sure you are connected. We have to network more, exchange more, and these all exist. And we do also have initiatives to empower the community. At the economic level, we are doing something on collective economics. So please plug in order to have more information on what is going on and how you can participate to improve on yourself and on the community as a whole. At this time, I would say our website is is being developed. However, you could still get some minimum information, though it is being built, right? It is being rebuilt. You could still access it and get some information while it is under construction. It is agausa.org, aagausa.org, aagausa.org. Again, it's still under construction, but you can get minimal information, and you can also register as a member through the registration form that you have online. And the contact information, phone numbers, and the key executives are all online. You can also register your business, no matter how small or even a home business you have, you can register it, because we want your business to be out there, that you can get, people can come to Georgia and they know who is doing what. If they want to buy some African clothes, or they're looking for a big restaurant, they're looking for African food, they're looking for something done by an African, they want to go to a hospital owned by an African, we want you to promote your business there, because we are there for you. So please go to the website to get that information. The African Association meets once every 3 months. We meet in February, we meet in May, in August, and also in November. So we meet 4 times in a year. Plug into that information and, contact us, and together, let's empower our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we want to really, really appreciate both of you for coming tonight. I know your schedule is busy, but you were able to join us so that we Africans here in the US can all work together to impact our communities here and our countries back home. We'll be calling you. I showed the website, and so keep your phone open. I'm going to share it, let them bug you, and so that we can make sure we plug into those organizations, especially if you also have contact for other African organizations in different states, please send that over to us. We're going to share it with our viewership so that we all can be part of, a big body of African association in the USA. On Wednesday, we have our economic forum, and Wednesday at 7 p.m. we discuss all economics. And one of those topics that's coming up, not next week, but the week after, will be the regional trade. We in ECOWAS country, we trade. We are even creating a single currency. We're going to be discussing about that. And so sometime I'm going to be getting in touch with you. We hope you join us again. And when you have some guest recommendations as to whatever topic we are discussing, we're going to also get in contact with you. On behalf of my co-host, who is not here tonight, Mrs. Danielle Knuckles-Guishard, my guest relations manager, and my product engineer, Stephanie Setru, want to say thank you so much for coming. Thanks to our viewers, and join us every Sunday at this time. Check us out on YouTube, follow us, subscribe, and I'll be sharing the YouTube link with you so that you can share with your audience and let them subscribe so that we can build this big network, so that since we have focus on Liberia, we can also have focus on Cameroon, focus on Nigeria, and so on and so forth. Until next time, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. Good night, and God bless you.
Good night.
Good night, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.